Um, Hi, how are you? Um, I am going to talk in this session about a book that I reviewed a while ago, and I posted um, an article about it, sort of, on Facebook. And also, I talked about it, I guess, in my online Writers Corner magazine. Um, The book is Sacred Pain, Hurting the Body for the Sake of the Soul. This is the cover of the book here. Let's see. This is it, the cover here. This is the cover of the book. And it's interesting why it is interesting, why I find it interesting, because you see how people try to avoid pain no matter what. But there is this phenomenon, other than the clinical one, where people seek to hurt themselves for spiritual reasons or for certain cultural belief. So the writer, I'm going just to do this introduction, and then I'll go through the books chapter by chapter if I can, if I had time. I just started working full time again, and it's my shift is overnight, so I think it's gonna be hard for me to do it, but I will. I promise. The introduction. The book is by Ariel Gluckrich. I'm not sure I pronounced the last name correctly, but I know the first name, Ariel. That's a very common name. So the whole idea, the writer says, started on one of the visits to his friend Jacob Goran, who had his leg cut off following an injury in World War II. And his friend, since those years, since the 1940s, he still continues to drag what we call phantom pain. Phantom pain is a pain a person feels when having a limb or even a finger cut off, and whether there is where that appendage is no longer in there, and people feel like there is that pain, they feel need to look for that missing finger or leg or arm and try and calm it. And it's neuropathic, I guess, and it's very, very annoying to the people how they describe it. You know how pain is subjective, so as he was sitting with his friends socializing, they saw this phenomenon, this cultural celebration ritual of crucifixion in Philippines, and how people willingly volunteer themselves to be crucified, actually live, going through all the pain and then the nails into them. And he couldn't help himself, and his friend said, how could anybody in their complete mind do such thing to themselves willingly. Worldwide religious rituals glorify pain. The instances are all over the world and very ancient, and it's hard like to stop and arrest them in one small list. And the author said that's not his purpose. The purpose of his book is not to itemize these celebrations and identify them and their nationalities or their ethnicities or something. Religious discourse, like the language religious people and theologian and in theology people use, glorifies pain. Pilgrimage, mystical disciplines, celebrations, initiations, funerals, all these glorify pain. Religious discourse, like the one in Sufism, harbors such a kind of glorification of the pain also. The modern patient does not understand this type of pain that can be referred to as sacred pain. Pain is a medical problem. Its persistence signals the failure of pharmaceutical technology, the author states in page 4 of his hardcover book. Intriguing as it is, this phenomenon has been neglected by modern science. Sacred pain seeks to find the rationale behind pain being presented as good and as a good thing in religion. It is an answer to Jacob's question, to his friend's question, the chronic patient, science and secular socialism. The author says he lays aside all scholarly pretension. He promises a scientific answer in a reductive way. Can that be possible? That's what we will see as we go through the book, page by page. Some researchers explain it as euphoria induced by the beta endorphins as initial reaction to trauma. Biochemistry and masochism are simplified answers, he states, to unobserved behavior. He promises a theory based on neurodynamic and psychology that tests in cultural and historical situations. Unwanted pain and sacred pain or religious pain are two different things. Religious pain induces a trance-like or trance state in the seekers who believe they can get closer to God and bond with each other better that way. The book does not attempt to be comprehensive, but instead is an attempt to an answer to one man's question, his friend. The first chapter focuses on the abundance of pain in religious literature and practice. It is conceptualized within legal, medical, military, and athletic models, either as a punishment or a sought and rewarding experience. The author says the task of religious pain is to transform destructive or disintegrative suffering into a positive religious psychological mechanism for reintegration within a more deeply valued level of reality than individual existence. Chapter 2 contextualizes pain within a psychological neurological theory that sees pain as an inherently adaptive biological communication of pain others to others. It must be understood outside the metaphysics of the self and pathology. He says the basic question is no longer why do religious persons hurt themselves? Rather, it is what the effect of self induced pain on the religious person. Once the psychodynamic benefits are understood, it becomes possible to isolate the effects of pain within diverse contexts in order to forward an answer for Jacob, his friend. And of course, the modern patients and all patients who seek to evade the pain. Chapter 5 talks about possession, exorcism in a cross-cultural and general way. Pain is isolated by the alteration in personality. Chapter 6 investigates the pain brought about by traditional rituals under the same light of exorcism and possession, where the cultural and biological perception and communication of pain efface the empirical self in favor of a more bound one. Chapter 7 Medieval and Spanish Inquisition used torture to induce personality changes. The lack of understanding sacred pain stems from our attempt to understand it as a medical problem and nothing else. Chapter 8 tackles medical progress and the invention of anesthetics in the 19th century, the modern patient's ownership of one's biomedical body, and signals of illness in the form of pain. The bourgeois medical psyche alienates the body and the personal disintegration and trusts the physician with eliminating the pain. Pain that serves higher purposes is still extant and thriving outside the Vatican holy premises. Endurance sports and contests, for example, weightlifting, indulging in any kind of athletic experience. Initiations and secret societies. Also, we have heard a lot about how those people, like in movies and all that, like the skulls or, Illuminati or whatever they call them, and how they presented them as secretive and go through lots of painful rituals to be accepted and trusted by the secret community they get involved to, or by even the announced one. But before they get in there, they had to go through all these rituals. But the patient does not understand that. The person who does not seek that type of pain does not understand it. It's hard to understand when you want to run away from pain and somebody else seeks it. Some patients still surrender to their pain as trial from God. That's something else, a punishment or faith. The author states in his introduction that sacred pain main focus is on the effects of ritual pain on the consciousness and identity. Some of the issues he encountered in the process of writing his book are how to construct an explanatory theory in a religious study and avoid turning it into a theological study. He wants to explain the ritual of sacred pain in non-derivative but reductive manner, a concept that becomes clearer as one goes through the reading of the book. Should psychology be a key, he wonders, how could apply such study in a cross-cultural context without turning it into opposite extremes. Sacred pain sees pain as a phenomenon that occupies a space in between the middle of the road, a phenomenon position between the material organism and the mind, the author states. The ritual can be viewed as a folk theory. Theological theories take such folk theories to deeper level, while science takes it to another level. He claims that his theory would be reductive. In a way, it will try and bridge the gap between these levels without excluding them altogether. Some of the drawbacks are that the folk theory cannot be reduced to neurobiology. The rush of beta endorphin, for example, following trauma. There should be a number of theories in between without displacing folk theory altogether and replacing it with neurobiology theory. And that's an example. I just started jotting my ideas about chapters, and I'll be reading, maybe I'll be reading next time the ones I posted on Facebook. So this is it. And I also, like in Facebook, I posted in the group called Unity Club that I organized and founded in 2014 with the aim to sensitize people to paying better attention to mental health and also using the movies that address mental health issues and try and approximate the gap between how Hollywood depicts them and what's in reality, what's real life. And that's where I posted. And I talked about self-mutilation, but that's something else. The author in this book does not see it that way. It's different. It's not. It's something else. Sacred pain is something else. And we'll see it clearer as we go through the book. I have also my own ideas about it, and where it states to what extent he has been successful and to actually giving us a new theory of about this phenomenon, how to understand it, using his reductive method that does not exclude all the preceding theories and jump into another extreme. That just takes us smoothly from one theory to another, using these as bridges to make us better understand what it is. And that's how he explains reductive theory. So until then, wish you Happy New Year, and stay safe, and see you next time.